Chagigah daf tes zayin. And the war before daf tes vav and beis, the Gemara says, harav limalach Hashem tzvokis yivakish toir mipiv v'imlav a yivakish toir mipiv. The Chasam Sofer and the Pelim Yofis say an interesting pshat. In that the Gemara says, harav limalach Hashem tzvokis yivakish toir mipiv. The Chasam Sofer in Zakdomo has narichas to explain that it's better for a person to be marbitz Torah, even though through the harbatz Torah he will not come to a high level in Torah and Yerushalayim, and dveikus HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he would come to if he would just sit by himself and be misdavik HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he brings the Chanoich, sat by himself and was misdavik HaKadosh Baruch Hu. However, Avram Avinu, he spent tremendous time being mekarev people to Torah and to Avodah, even though through that he spent less time with his own dveikus HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he says that's what be'emes HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants a person to mashpia on his entire generation. And the Chasam Sofer explains that the pasuk says, "Hamachasa ani me Avram." And he asks why specifically over here do we find that there's a back and forth of HaKadosh Baruch Hu should be Megala something to a Navi, and we don't find that by any other Navi. And the Chasam Sofer explains the understanding is because Avram Avinu, since he was so involved in Mekarev people, Tachas Kamfi Shechina, he wasn't Mizdabik as much, so therefore he wasn't Roy for Nevuah. However, HaKadosh Baruch Hu nevertheless gave him Nevuah, since the reason why he wasn't on the level of Nevuah was only because he was being mashpia on other people. And the Chasam Sofer explains that's the understanding in Talmidei Yosim Mikulam, that there's a tremendous siyat d'shmaya that a person gets if he teaches Torah to Talmidim. And the Chasam Sofer in the Pelim Yofis explained that's the understanding in harav limalach Hashem tzvokis yivakish toir mipiv, that a malach doesn't steig, he stays on the same level. However, people in this world are steiging and get better and better. So the job of a Rebbe, when he's been melamed Torah Talmidim, is not to look at his own growth in Torah and dveikus and Yerushalayim. His main focus has to be on the aliyah of his Talmidim. And in regards to his own growth, he's like a malach that's a oimid. And if he's like a malach that he's a oimid, then yivakish Torah mipiv. Moving on, the Gemara discusses the machlokes. It's mutter to be semichah and yantiv, it's us to be semichah and yantiv. And the Gemara brings bnei Yisrael semichas, ein bnei Yisrael semichas. Tosis and kedushin, and Tosis and menachas ask, why do we need a pasuk to ma'id noshim from semichah? Typically, that's a mitzvah aseh shehazman gerama, because semichah is specifically by day. And Tosis says in kedushin the answer is because since semichah is hookish the shechita, you might think the same way they could do semichah as well. The Turi Evan over here says a tremendous yisoid to answer Tosis' kasha. He says the reason why we need a pasuk to ma'id noshim for semichah is because semichah doesn't have a lot of mitzvah and gerama, because since semichah is only done one time on the korban, and that one can't be semich at night. It's not a hafgah on the mitzvah, rather the mitzvah just can't be niskayim at night. And it's not a stop in the mitzvah, rather that's not the time that the mitzvah could be fulfilled, so that's not considered a time in the ikar mitzvah. The zman of the mitzvah continues, rather the time to mekayim the mitzvah cannot be done at night. And he says you can't compare it to that tzitzis and tefillin is considered zman gerama because you keep mekayim the mitzvah tzitzis and tefillin at night. And he says over there it's different because that you mekayim the mitzvah of tzitzis and tefillin next day is a new mitzvah. However, semichah is only one mitzvah and just cannot be niskayim at night. And according to this is Miyashav Tosis Kasha Megillah Daf Chof to ask that why you need a pasuk to ma'id noshim for mitzvah smila tebek lay, that's a mitzvah shehazman gerama, because you can't be mekayim the mitzvah mila at night, and Torah even says, according to this Yisod, it's mirshav heitiv. Because that we cannot be mekayim the mitzvah of mila at night is not a hafgo on the mitzvah, just a din you can't be mekayim the mitzvah at night. Ein shir migil daf chof. The Umayrich and other truths to answer this kash of Ayin Shom. And Torah even continues. There is a raya to this yesod from the fact that Sreifas Noisa, it's Mavur, it's not considered a Zman Gerama. And the reason why Sreifas Noisa is not considered Zman Gerama is because even though you can only be served by day and not by night, because a mitzvah that could be mekayim one time and you just can't fulfill the mitzvah at night, that's not considered Zman Gerama. And he brings a raya that Koch Sreifas Noisa is not as Zman Gerama because the Gemara says in Psachim Daf Peidalit that the reason why there's no malchus on Noisa according to Behuda is because it's a lav and nitik aseh. And it's nitik aseh of Noisa and Tzorchian. If Sreifas Noisa is a mitzvah shehazman gerama, so therefore Noshim don't have the mitzvah of Sreifas Noisa, so then for ladies they should be mechayiv malchus on the aseh of Noisa because for them it's not nitik aseh and it's not huzkala Noshim or muchomer then Anoshim Gabe the aseh of Noisa. And he says furthermore, according to what's in the Rambam in Hilchos Tmura, that one of the reasons why Tmura is not considered lav hanitik aseh is because you cannot be mekayim the aseh in all situations. Because since Shutfim and Tzibur don't have the aseh of Tmura, so therefore the lav is not considered nitik aseh. And the Torah even asks that if ladies won't have the mitzvah of Sreifas Noisa, so then it should not be considered a lav nitik aseh. And even the men that have the mitzvah of Sreifas Noisa, they should still get malchus because it's not considered lav nitik aseh. So Al-Koch see that the mitzvah of Sreifas Noisa is not considered a mitzvah aseh shehazman gerama. Ein des Sfas Emes that says the Ikki Yisod, he was mechavan to himself. However, the raya that the Torah even brings from Sreifas Noisa says you could argue on, and you can madcha the raya from Noisa in many ways. First of all, he says that since the aseh of Sreifas Noisa is menatik the lav, it has halacha like the lav, and the same with the lav, you say hushva kosev ish the chol onchish b'toyu hu adin, the aseh that's menatik the lav. And he says furthermore, the mitzvah aseh of Sreifas Noisa is not specifically on the one that was over the lav. The mitzvah is on the entire Klal Yisrael. So even though the ladies don't have the mitzvah Sreifas Noisa, nevertheless it's still considered a lav and nitik aseh because others could be mekayim the mitzvah of Sreifas Noisa. And the Sfas Emes says another svara that's menatik the lav is not the mitzvah of Sreifas Noisa, rather the hefts of Sreifas Noisa, the actual fact that you have a tikkun on Noisa, that it's nisraf, and that's mesaken the lav, even without a din of a mitzvah. Ein divrei Cheskel that says another mahalach to explain why it's not a right from Sreifas Noisa, because on mitzvah shehazman gerama, even though Nosha were not mechuyev, they have a kiyum mitzvah, and since they have a kiyum mitzvah, the kiyum mitzvah itself is enough to menatik the lav. The Torah even holds you need a chiyuv mitzvah to menatik the lav, and the Cheskel says it's enough a kiyum mitzvah. You could be moistif according to the Yisod of B'chaim that says even if you don't have a chiyuv, if there's a korban that's oiloloi, it's mashva the mitzvah into a mitzvah that has the same status as mitzvah chiyuvis, and therefore he explains that the Rambam paskins that a cotton that brings a korban Pesach and Pesach Rishon is part of Pesach Sheni because it has a din of a ma'aseh mitzvah, because the korban was oiloloi. So who a din over here could say by Sreifas Noisa, since there is a kiyum din besides the actual ma'aseh of Sreifas Noisa, because it's niskayim a din in the cheftza that the Noisa was nisraf, it could be that's also mashfa the mitzvah into mitzvah even without a chiyuv. I understand for imek bracha that's meirich. And he asks a kash on Tosis and Menachos That's Moisef and Tosis is Kash and Kedushin. It says that the reason why it's considered mitzvah seichas and gerama is because of takeif the semichah shechita. And the Emek Bracha says Mitzat takeif the semichah shechita. Since there's no din Mitzat the semichah itself that has to be by day, it's not considered a mitzvah seichas and gerama. The Chayyim could be mefalba with that, according to what we spoke out in previous shurim. There's a one in the Moran Brachas that have that has a havamina. The Birchas Hamazon is considered as gerama because it's normal for people to say Birchas Hamazon in the morning and in the evening when they eat. Therefore, it should be considered a mitzvah seichas as gerama, even though there's no din that you have to make say Birchas Hamazon in the morning and the evening. So it's mavor that even if the din of the mitzvah is not to be specifically at that time, rather it happens to be that it's niskayim at a specific time, that's enough to be considered as gerama. Wooden over here, mitzad the halach of stekel semichah shechita is enough to be mashva the mitzvah into as gerama. And the Emek Bracha says another teretz to miyashav tesis kasha that because the reason why you would think without a posek that semichah would be noig benoshim because semichah is not a chiyuv on the gavra. Rather, semichah is halach in the chefts of the korban, that the korban needs semichah. So therefore, it doesn't have a halacha of a mitzvah seichas gerama because it's a din in the chefts of the korban that the korban needs semichah.